The ocean waves crashed against Captain Jake Miller's landing craft. His eyes were fixed ahead on the beaches of Normandy, where smoke and fire painted a hellish scene. June 6, 1944. This day would change the course of world history. With Jake were 30 American soldiers, all between 18 and 22 years old, caught between fear and courage. Jake was 28 from Brooklyn. Back home, his wife Sarah and 2-year-old daughter Emily were waiting. In his pocket was Sarah's last letter. "Come back to us, Jake. We need you." But today no one was guaranteed a return home. Before the ramp dropped, Jake looked at his men. Private Tommy Rodriguez, 19 years old, from Texas, first time away from home. Sergeant Mike O'Brien, from an Irish immigrant family ready to die for America. Corporal David Washington, the first African American from his town to become an officer. All their faces were pale, but their eyes held steel. "Listen up!" Jake shouted over the sounds of gunfire. "Soon as we hit that beach, you run. Don't stop. Find cover and move forward. We're here for each other. We go together." The ramp opened and hell began. Tat, 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 tat. German machine guns immediately opened fire. The first 3 soldiers fell right on the ramp. Jake jumped into the water, cold, chest deep. Bullets whistled through the water around him. Everywhere there were screams, explosions, and the sight of death. "Move! Move! Move!" Jake screamed. He ran through the water, every step difficult, every breath feeling like his last. Beside him, Tommy fell. A bullet had hit his shoulder. Jake grabbed him and dragged him forward. Bodies littered the beach, hundreds, thousands. The water turned red. This was Omaha Beach, the most dangerous landing zone. The Germans had the entire beach covered from the hills above. This was a massacre. Jake took cover behind a destroyed tank. 5 soldiers had survived with him. The rest? He didn't want to look. Tommy was groaning in pain. Jake quickly bandaged his wound. "Captain, what do we do? We're pinned down," Mike shouted. Mortars were raining down from above. Boom, boom. Sand and body parts flew everywhere. Jake looked around. Thousands of American soldiers were pinned on the beach. Move forward meant death. Go back also meant death. This was the moment where every soldier shows their true mettle. "We can't stay here," Jake yelled. "Look, that bunker! German machine gun position. If we take it out, we can advance." But reaching the bunker seemed impossible. 200 yards of open beach under continuous fire. Mike said, "That's a suicide mission, Captain." "Staying here is also suicide," Jake replied. "I'm going. Give me cover fire." But David grabbed his arm. "No, sir. We go together. Remember? We go together." 5 more soldiers joined. They had heard the plan from their positions. Total of 8 soldiers. They readied their grenades, checked their ammunition. This was a do-or-die moment. "On my count," Jake said. 3, 2, 1, go. They ran like their lives depended on it, because they did. Bullets everywhere. Private Johnson, 20 years old, picture of his pregnant girlfriend in his pocket, shot dead instantly. Corporal Stevens, who had just celebrated his 21st birthday 2 days ago, stepped on a mine. The explosion threw him into the air, but the rest kept running. Jake felt a bullet graze his helmet. He barely avoided falling. David and Mike were providing covering fire. Tommy, despite being wounded, was firing his rifle. They reached the bunker. Jake threw a grenade, perfect throw. The grenade went inside the bunker. Boom! The machine gun fire stopped, but it wasn't over yet. 3 German soldiers emerged from behind the bunker, bayonets ready. Hand-to-hand combat began. Jake tackled one German. Mike fired at another. David grappled with the third. This was personal, fighting face to face. The German soldier was also someone's son, maybe someone's father. But here, it was only about survival. Jake pulled out his knife and used it. He would never forget that German's last words, "Bitte. Meine Kinder, please." My children, the bunker was secured. Jake gave the signal. The soldiers pinned on the beach found courage. They began to advance. One bunker fell, then another, then another. The Germans slowly began to retreat, but the price was heavy. Of Jake's original 30-man unit, only 12 survived. Over 2,000 American soldiers died on that beach in the first hours of the day. By evening, the Allies had established a beachhead. Reinforcements were arriving. D-Day was successful, but the word successful felt hollow when you had witnessed so much death. That night, Jake sat among the wounded soldiers. Tommy was alive but in serious condition. Mike had a bullet wound in his arm. David had collapsed from exhaustion. A young medic, barely 18, came to Jake. "Sir, you're injured." Jake hadn't even realized. Shrapnel had hit his leg. His uniform was soaked with blood. Jake pulled out Sarah's letter from his pocket. Blood-stained, wet, but the words still readable. Tears filled his eyes as he read it. He was alive, but how many weren't? Johnson, Stevens, and so many other names he would never forget. A lieutenant colonel came for inspection. He praised Jake's work. "Captain Miller, you and your unit did incredibly brave work today. We secured this beach because of soldiers like you." Jake said, "Sir, my men who aren't here today, remember them. They're the heroes. I just survived." The colonel placed a hand on his shoulder. "Captain, bravery isn't about not being afraid. Bravery is doing what needs to be done despite the fear. You did that. You all did." From the next day, the Allies pushed forward into Europe. D-Day marked the turning point against Nazi Germany. But for Jake, this wasn't some grand strategic victory. This was the day he lost his brothers. Johnson, who played guitar for his girlfriend, Stevens, who made everyone laugh, and so many more. The war still had a year to go. Jake fought in all those battles. The Battle of the Bulge crossing the Rhine, finally into Germany itself. Every battle hardened him more. But that day at Normandy stayed forever in his mind. In 1945, when the war ended, Jake finally came home. Sarah and Emily were waiting at the airport. When he saw them, he broke down. He wasn't the strong Captain Miller at that moment. He was just a man who had seen too much. Sarah hugged him and whispered softly, "You're home now. You're safe." But Jake knew. A part of him had stayed on that Normandy beach. Every night he heard that gunfire in his dreams, those screams, Johnson's face when he fell. It was survivor's guilt. Why did he survive when so many good men didn't? Years later, when Jake's grandson asked, "Grandpa, you're a hero. What did you do in the war?" Jake said, "The heroes are the ones who didn't come back. I was just lucky." But the truth was, Jake and millions of soldiers like him risked their lives to save the world from tyranny. D-Day changed the course of World War II, and that sacrifice, it can never be forgotten. Even today, there are memorials on the beaches of Normandy. Every cross, every name is a story. A young soldier who fought for his mother, a son who wanted to make his father proud, a brother who wanted to keep his little sister safe. War is not glory, it's sacrifice, it's pain. It's a necessity that should never come but sometimes does. And when it does, some people step forward, despite the fear, despite the pain, and save the world. Jake Miller wasn't a real hero. He's a fictional character. But there were thousands of real soldiers like him who fought on D-Day. Their stories, their sacrifices, they will always be remembered, because they didn't just win beaches, they won for humanity. They won for freedom. Whenever you take freedom for granted, remember Normandy. Remember those 19 to 20-year-old boys who thousands of miles from home, in water and blood, moved forward. Not for themselves, for you, for everyone. This was the story of a war, the biggest, the most dangerous, the most important.